Will the Washington Capitals continue to roll in the NHL? We'll find that out and much more right here on PuckTime on WagerTalk TV. We'll talk Capitals, Utah, Avalanche, Flyers, and Red Wings, and San Jose Sharks. Carm leaving my Oilers and Habs game off the board. Nobody wants to see my Habs get crushed like that, but some good games to break down, some good odds on some of these matchups as well. I've got some props and best bets at the end of the show. Carm, they did us pretty good here this week with some scheduling in the NHL. We got a handful of games to get to today, and it's not just a stacked Tuesday and Thursday. You always like it, man. It's good to see you as always. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm usually at this time, Andrew, in the show. I'm wearing my Boss hoodie, which I find really comfortable, and I like it. I had to sell it last night on online because Evan McPherson can't seem to kick a damn field goal for Cincinnati. Yeah, I'm starting with a rant on a football game. I had a 5% play on that one, and it looked dead and buried. And then they came back, and then Evan McPherson proceeds to miss two field goals. Like, come on, man, one. There's guys hitting from 60 yards, and this guy can't hit from 48 or whatever it was. Anyways, enough of that. Andrew, we got Colorado and Philadelphia. First game of a four-game road trip for the Avalanche. And Flyers looking good right now. We're going to go to Washington. We're going to take the Washington and Utah game apart. Washington Capitals, man, they are playing some fun hockey to watch. I'm looking forward to that one. You're going to have your props segment, and then we're going to finish it off with uh, two teams that they could have stuck a better game to end the night, but it's the Detroit Red Wings. Sorry to our Detroit office, and the San Jose Sharks. And I've got some great quotes for that for tonight's game from Andrew Kopp, not Andrew McInnes, Andrew Kopp. And speaking of this Detroit team, Andrew, do you know that they were the only losing entry on Friday's 6 and 60? 6 and
Ooh,
60 win 5 and 1,
there we
and
go.
the Detroit Red Wings losing as plus money dogs in LA, but they lost nonetheless. The 6 and 60 goes 5 and 1. We'll hit that elusive 6 and 0 at some point. But Avs and Flyers, Andrew. I'm gonna just talk about this quickly because I talk about our live lines, then go to you for your opinion on this one. I've been watching the lines this morning on some of these games because there's a lot of plays I think at times have to be goalie dependent ones, and the Colorado one is one that is a goalie dependent game for me because Georgiev was placed on IR on Saturday. We saw what happened to Annunen against Washington. They chased him. The Avs didn't play well in front of him, but then they brought in Trent Miner, who was called up as an emergency goalie from their Colorado Eagles team. He didn't look much better in that one, but the Washington Capitals are making a lot of teams look bad this season. But the line went 10 or 15 cents in favor of Colorado, and I'm like, okay, there must be a goaltending announcement, but it was for Philadelphia. Kolosov is confirmed as starting. He's 0-3 and has been pretty much lit up in each of his starts. So I'm going to stick with my original thought on this one, Andrew. I am going with the Avs in regulation. I posted about this on the Wager Talk free play section. You'll find it there, more comprehensive breakdown. But I like the Avs minus 115 in regulation. And I did say that that was a goalie dependent play because I want to see Justice Annunen in goal for Colorado. I wouldn't want to play it, even though it's Kolosov for Philadelphia. I wouldn't want to play it if it's Trent Miner. I just don't. I think much like Devon Levy in Buffalo, it's a goalie who needs a lot of seasoning still in the AHL and isn't ready for the NHL as of yet. So if it's Annunen, minus 115 regulation on Colorado for me, Andrew. What about you?
I really
You're
like looking
muted.
at certain games where a team needs to get on the road. Sometimes a team needs to get on the road. And I'm not saying Colorado hasn't been playing good hockey, but we all talk about how it's a team building opportunity for a team to get out on a road trip. Well, what better of a team? What team needs to get that chemistry going as fast as possible more than the Avalanche? because this Avalanche team was without their top 6 players pretty much for the start of the season. They were probably without 3 or 4 of those top 6 guys on the team, missing some key depth guys. And then when I look at this lineup now, I just really don't think that they're going to be a team that's going to have back-to-back flat performances. You know, there's a lot to say about excitement when you get key players back. And the last game for them, to your point, Carm, was against a really good team. So you get all your key players back. You have a full lineup. Nichushkin is there. You've got Drouin. You've got Lehkonen. You've got all these guys. But it's your first game back against a really good club. And that game was at home. Now you go on the road, full team back. Those guys all had a full skate. They all had a full game under their belt now. And you're going to have kind of that cohesion, that chemistry. And Philadelphia, I'm sorry, Carm, but you know what? I'm not even sorry because you agreed with me. I don't even have to say it. Philadelphia is only beating teams that they should beat, or at least they could contend against. They haven't really been that much of an upset team. You know, they're beating the free spaces on the bingo card, as you like to say, for the most part, like my Canadians and the Sabres and certain games like that. So this is a team that, you know, I don't really see them upsetting as big underdogs like this. I don't see them contending. And I also don't see them putting together back-to-back performances like this. You know, if Colorado won 5-0 against the Capitals in their previous game, and we saw the Philadelphia Flyers get blown out in their previous game against Buffalo, I might be looking at this game just a little bit differently. But the situational spot that we have here, getting out on the road, Colorado being pretty much back to full health, I think they come out with a bang in the first period. I think the guys will rally around each other. I think the new guys will have a good game. I will be sprinkling on the Nichushkin goal scorer tonight that did not make the prop playbook segment. Give me the Avalanche to get it done in 20 minutes on the three-way line at plus 135. If this team comes out hard, they should get the job done early and often. We got regulation and we got first period puck line, Carmen. It sounds like you and I are both watching the Avalanche tonight, at least in some capacity. Let's hope they give us a good game here.
Yeah, you know, I was going to mention, and I lost my camera and mic there for a second, Andrew. So hopefully my audio is okay and you guys can hear me okay. But you know, I was going to mention to you, you know, the Flyers have strung some wins together, but it has come at the expense of the San Jose Sharks, the Buffalo Sabres, the Ottawa Senators. Even though the Sens are playing well, but they're scoring goals. The Flyers are scoring goals, and maybe, you know, I always go back to, and maybe it's the Italian in me, Andrew, Tortorella. Maybe sticking uh, um, you know, his rookie, who's having a really good season, sticking him, making him a healthy scratch one game, kind of sparked this team as well too. They're playing well. So the fans that were calling, the Flyer fans that were calling for Tortorella's head, hey, the guy's winning games. And let's remember last season, if you guys remember the Philadelphia Flyers, they were a pleasant surprise at the beginning of the year. They were winning games. I think, Andrew, they were second for a good part of the season in the Metro before they tailed off. Injuries to that team obviously hurt them. I think Couturier was one of them. Once he went down, so did the team. It's kind of like what the Caps are doing right now. They're surprising a lot of people, myself included. And we had some weekend comments from people like, "Why you keep picking against Washington? It's like you don't know hockey." Well, it's I still don't believe the Washington Capitals are going to make the NHL playoffs this season. I think you take the first 15 to 20 games of the season with a grain of salt, but they're playing well and they're winning games. We'll see how that shakes out at the end of this season in a very tough Eastern Conference, Andrew. But yeah, Philly's feasting on the teams that they're supposed to feast on. We'll see what happens from this point forward. Caps, speaking of the Caps, Andrew, Caps in Utah, minus 110 both ways. A little bit of a surprise. It opened 115 for Washington. It's down to like 110. Looks like it's Lindgren and Ingram as the goalies in this one. Andrew, here's the question I have for you. I'm going to give you a play and it has nothing to do with this question, guys, because I gave this. This was a play for my clients on the weekend. The Washington Capitals are playing some great hockey and they're scoring in the first period. Washington 13-4 to the first period over this season, 6-1 on the road to the first period over. Utah 10-7, still profitable even at that number. Borders on the edge of profitability, and 5-3 at home to the over in the first period. So I'm going first period over. It's 30 cents. I'll lay the $1.30 and go over 1.5. But the question I have for you, Andrew, is this: is this a flat spot for the Washington Capitals, considering they just beat Colorado and Vegas? Or is this a Colorado team that goes, a Washington team that goes in there full of energy, two huge wins, beats Utah, and then heads home to face Colorado in their first back off this Western road trip? What are your thoughts?
It's a really interesting game, Carm. It reminds me of college sports a little bit. You know, I don't handicap college stuff too much, but it kind of reminds me of that because you look at two teams with very, very different records, right? Very different records. And then you look at the odds and you're kind of like, why is this the number here? Why is this the price you're getting on the Capitals? So you have to assume a lot of people are going to be just sprinting to the window to take the Capitals in this game, just based on their number. 12-4-1 on the season. Utah 7-7-3 on the season, and this game's practically a pick. I mean, hey, it sounds like it's so easy. Capitals are playing well. We'll take them. You know, the comment section tells us every single day we don't take the Capitals enough. It sounds like they should be the play. Well, as I mentioned, I think that I'm happy to admit that I was wrong about them. I didn't, think they were going to be horrible. I didn't think they were going to be this good, but guess what? Nobody did. But the thing is that the way I look at it is this. I told myself this year going into the season, I'll try and ride more streaks and I'll try and stay away from jumping in front of these streaks, right? Because you can get hurt jumping in front of streaks. So just like yourself, Carm, I like your first period over. I really do. But I'm actually on the full game. So it's kind of funny. The last game we talked about, you had regulation, I had first period. Now this one, I have full game over. You get the first period over. But Washington, yeah, that's the big story for me with them is their goal scoring, right? The depth that they have, the multiple lines they have scoring. Ovechkin is on pace for 63 goals. Connor McMichael remains minus 125 to get a point. I've mentioned him on the prop playbook multiple times, and he keeps on scoring goals, keeps on getting points, and his price for a point alone is still in the minus 120s. This Capitals team last year when they had success, they were just a good defensive team. They just kind of had good goaltending and they're winning low scoring games. That's not the case for them anymore. This is a team that's capable of winning high scoring games, which is really impressive to look at. And Utah, you mentioned it, Carm. I think overall on the season, if we look at a large scale, I truly believe this Utah team, their goals for at home versus on the road is going to be much higher. I actually do grade them as one team I do care about when playing at home. Although it's a big crowd of people that might not be as passionate as hockey fans in some arenas, gets loud in there. They're having a good time, and this team is feeding off the energy. They seem to be comfortable playing there, and Utah will want to get it going after a couple inconsistent games over the last few games, week and a half, 2 weeks for them. So over for me in the full game, but definitely right there with you on that first period. And like you said, both teams very profitable with the first period overs. And you got to love that price. Carl, I've been staying away from these over 1.5s when it's like minus 145, 150. This is the prime, price range that I'm fine with, that over 1.5 in the first period. But do you agree with me? Like, I know you handicap college a little bit, Carm. Like, for me, it seems like one of those things, like how the 12-4-1 team versus a 7-7-3 team, but it's a pick 'em, right? That's kind of a scratch your head pick a little bit, right?
Yeah, it happens all the time, and you see it in college basketball late in the season. College basketball, you see a ranked team that is an underdog to an unranked team, and you start to wonder what am I missing here? But you're not missing anything. Just you lay the points with the unranked team in those spots because the books aren't normally putting out the wrong lines in games. Speaking of putting out wrong lines, Andrew, completely different than hockey because um, we got to talk about it. The Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. What the hell was that? I'm seeing some great comments in our live chat, which would be great for the props segment for you. And we're going to get to the props in a second. But who scores more points tonight? Who scores more tonight, the Dallas Stars or the Dallas Cowboys? There's one that Jake Paul has more wins at AT&T than Dallas has at home. It's just that was the worst exhibition of a fight. Tyson just got his $20 million, $1.25 million a minute is what he got. 20 million, 16 minutes. Do the math. The man collected and went home. Uh, it was a sham of a fight. Those two women should have been the main event. But with that said, it was the people complaining, the memes of people complaining about the buffering on Netflix was absolutely hilarious, man. There was just so much. Obviously, you young people didn't grow up in the age of dial-up like I did with AOL discs, where you got 3 months for free. And if someone picked up the phone upstairs, it knocked you off of your connection. It's like, Mom, I'm trying to watch porn. And that
Oh,
happened. But
jeez.
Andrew, with that said, let's keep this on let's keep this on pace here. Give us some prop winners tonight in the NHL.
All right. Yeah. Tough to segue out of that one there, Carm, but yeah, I mean that was insane though on Friday. And the fact that matters, my only 2 cents I'll say about the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight is that's a good example of it's okay to lay juice sometimes, guys. I can't believe people were so excited to take an underdog price. I tweeted this out. The odds makers thought that Mike Tyson had a better chance of beating Jake Paul than the Seahawks had to beat the 49ers this weekend. Think about that. Think about that for a second and think about how crazy that is. Mike Tyson to beat Jake Paul versus the Niners losing to the Seahawks. We know which one of those ended up happening. But let's get to the prop playbook segment. Before we jump into that, we have a promo code for the week, guys. That promo code is week69. Week69. This is an all sports promotion here, guys. Every single sport that I'm releasing, every bet that I release, 5% plays included for a $69 with that promo code week69. That also works for Carmine as well. All right, let's jump into the props here. I haven't given out that many goal scoring props this season, but we are going to give one out here, and it's going to be against the Montreal Canadiens. It always pains me to do it. Leon Draisaitl has performed very well against the Montreal Canadiens in his career. 3 of his last 4 games, he has a goal. 4 straight games against Montreal, he has a goal. 4 straight away games, he has a goal. And unfortunately for the Canadiens, they rank number 31 in goals allowed on the season. We will take Leon Draisaitl from the Edmonton Oilers to get a goal tonight. The next one, we're going to take Logan Stankoven from the Dallas Stars. This, to me, is a really good prop bet because you look at their matchup against Anaheim, and Dallas has been putting up some serious numbers lately. They scored 14 goals in a matter of a few games. I mean, this is a team that's putting up numbers. They're no longer a defensive team. They are a team that has a lot of depth, 3 lines that can score. And Stankoven, we lost on his shot prop, I think, a week and a half ago, but his point prop is hitting. 7 straight games at home, he's collected at least 1 point. 7 straight home games. Minus 150, guys, it's certainly worth it. And the last one here, Nick Suzuki going back to the Montreal versus Edmonton game. Carm, I haven't given out too many props on Canadian players this season, probably rightfully so. 1.5 shots. We usually talk about 2.5 or 3.5. 1.5 shots. 10 of his last 12 games, he's gone over this number, and it's nice to see him shooting the puck more, but he's not getting elevated to the 2.5. He's still at the 1.5. So again, I know it's a bit juicy. We gave out 1 plus 130. We gave out a 140 and a 150. So I get it here, guys. A little chalky today, but I like this one quite a bit. Over 1.5 shots on goal, minus 145 for Nick Suzuki. You got to shoot the puck. You got to score goals to beat this Oilers team. You can't beat the Oilers in low-scoring fashion. But fun fact, Carm, both meetings between the Oilers and Habs last year did go to overtime and did go under the total. So we'll see what happens tonight in that game. I got a bad feeling about it, but I'm looking forward to watching. Over to you, Carm. Any thoughts on those player props overall?
All I can say for our French-speaking viewers, "Sacre bleu." That's all I can say. "Sacre bleu," which for you that don't speak French, that's just like it's dismay, exasperation, surprise that Andrew would take 2 Montreal players. But hey, I
Just
took
one,
Montreal
just
in the
one.
6 and 60 in the battle of the free play spot. And okay, one. And the Canadians got the job done in a terrible scheduling spot for Columbus. So we'll see what happens tonight. But speaking of scheduling spots, Andrew, it's the final game of a 4-game road trip for Detroit. It started in Pittsburgh with a win in OT, and a couple of losses in Anaheim where they looked really bad in the second half of that game. The LA Kings game, they looked bad again. And now they get San Jose returning home off a 4-game road trip, East Coast road trip, where they picked up 4 points. I would view that as a success for this San Jose team, picking up 4 points. Only one win, but a couple OT losses, so they pick up 4 points. It's like going 2-2, and that's what the Rings are looking to. This opened at 170 and dropped to 145 on Detroit. So a little bit of San Jose money came from the opener. It looks like it's going to be Talbot and Blackwood in goals tonight. But listening to Andrew Kopp talk after the LA game, he talked about the fact that uh, Detroit, to win games, have to muster speed out of their own zone when getting out of their own zone and get it through the neutral zone, chip it in, and get guys into that O zone. And that's when they play their best hockey. They couldn't do that against Toronto. I was at that game. Toronto shut them down. And Cobb said, he said, the LA Kings, Toronto Maple Leafs, they play such a heavy game that they clogged up the neutral zone and they couldn't do anything. So I don't think the same thing out of the San Jose Sharks today. So I believe this is a game that sets up first back from a road trip for San Jose. Detroit looking to close off a road trip where at 2-2, you could probably view it as successful, get back home and start to get some wins together. I don't mind laying the $1.45 here, Andrew, with, even though they've lost back-to-back games. I think they get the win tonight in San Jose. What are your thoughts?
I like that. I like everything you said there, Carm. Right there with you, and I like that you segued with the fact that they've been very busy lately. But I didn't know where you were going to go, if you were going to like them or go against them tonight. But we always say, a first game back at home after a road trip, the way you play it is dependent on how the road trip has gone. And it's the same way I look at the last game of a road trip. You look at it depending on how that has gone. And again, you mentioned it as well. San Jose has been busy too. It hasn't just been Detroit been busy lately. San Jose has been relatively busy. They've been actually playing some decent hockey, competing in games, getting some goal scoring. They got 2 late goals from Toffoli in their game against Pittsburgh. So they've been playing respectable was the word we're going to use for it. But Carm, we got Mackenzie Blackwood listed as probable for tonight. And I'll tell you what, Mackenzie Blackwood deserves to be in a Colorado Avalanche uniform in 2 months, I think. They need to get rid of him in San Jose and get some picks because he's a very good goalie. So it worries me taking team total bets against Blackwood. But I think that we're going to start to see the pucks fly in for San Jose. And when Detroit kind of snaps out of this 1-4 funk that they're in, they're going to score goals. And I like that quote you mentioned. This team's not happy right now. And as I mentioned, sometimes the last game of a road trip is a spot that lacks focus. But when you're 1-4 your last 5 games, there's going to be a lot of focus, a lot of motivation going into this matchup. Give me the team total up and over 3.5 goals at plus 105. Better numbers available, but this is the consensus number, plus 105. I think if the Red Wings are successful tonight, I do think they reach the magic number of 4 goals. So that's my play, and that will be a client bet for tonight, guys. Looking forward to it. Carm, I like it. We're on the same page, man. Let's have ourselves a good Monday.
Yeah, let's hope it works out. A couple mentions things that happened on this weekend, which I think are very important. The football championship up in Vancouver, the Toronto Argonauts win the Grey Cup. Andrew, you'll remember, I think I text you and Rob Rayleigh, our CFL expert, a few weeks back and said, guys, the Argos are winning the Grey Cup. And they went in with a backup quarterback because their starter snapped his ankle last week damn, they got it done. That defense was ferocious. And then who can forget Bills Mafia, baby? Another one for me that made me feel good. The Bills beat Mahomes and KC What a fantastic game in Buffalo. The atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. They're on a bye week. I think I'm going to go to their following game. They San Fran, the Niners are in town, and I think I'm going to go to that game with Rob. I'm going to bug him after this show is over. Bills Mafia 9-2 now. Andrew, little known fact: Taylor Swift concerts. She had 2 or 3 concerts, and then broke for the weekend and then restarts this week. I think the referees, the Kansas City referees, were stuck at the border from the last concert and couldn't make it to the game because we didn't see as many of the favorable calls for Kansas City. All joking aside, huge win by the Bills.
Huge
Now,
weekend.
um, let's get into our best bets segment, Andrew. I got a couple plays up in Nations League Soccer. Nations League Soccer, this round of Nations League Soccer has been absolutely fantastic. Started on Thursday, and 9-0 sides and totals Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday combined. NHL, since November 1st, up 31 plus units in the NHL. One of my clients said to me, Andrew, in a Twitter DM, he goes, listen, next October, I'm going to lend you my Airbnb so you can just go on vacation and not release any NHL plays because October doesn't go well, but November does. So I found that kind of funny. That's transparency at its best. With that said, 2 plays up in the NHL tonight as well too. That great promo. Week 69, get 7 days all access for $69. It's a great deal. You'll get 4 plays for today and then a bunch of plays throughout the week. It's a good week in the NHL, Andrew. My free play is going to go back to that first game. I'm going to take the Avs in regulation over the Flyers minus 115. It's still showing Annunen as the listed goalie for tonight. It is a goalie dependent play. I want to see him in goal. I do not want to see Trent Miner in goal. Andrew, what do you got up at WagerTalk? And let us know what your best bet is on the show.
Carm, 2 plays for me in the NHL tonight. Also got some NBA stuff going on as well. We're just kind of easing into the NBA team totals. Hoping for a really good week as far as that's concerned. But that package is the one that we want to talk about the most, right? The promo code, the week 69. For anybody that's interested, you're going to get the best prices possible. I'll tell you what, especially for me with the team totals, guys, the prices change big time on those. And also shop around to get the best number, but use that promo code week 69. Get the best numbers you possibly can. You're going to get a full week for $69 with us. And here's a play I really do like tonight, and it's the over in the Blue Jackets and Bruins game. You know, the Bruins have been up and down as far as their under-overs, but at the end of the day, when they're desperate and they're playing a bottom-feeding team, they've been scoring some goals. And, you know, you're getting 5.5s and 6s with them a lot of these games still. But I just look at these matchups, and the Bruins are giving up goals. And you might not believe me when I say this, but since November 1st, Columbus has the highest expected goals for in the entire league. They got embarrassed against Montreal, who's one of the worst teams in the league, giving up a ton of goals against them. They're going to be motivated to bounce back, and the Bruins are off a loss against St. Louis. I expect goals in that one. So look towards the over 6 in that one. And Carm, you mentioned about the Taylor Swift and all these games. Shout out to my friend Alex because he served in the Navy, in the Canadian Navy, and he did an 8-month deployment. He just got back to see his family and took him on a trip, took his young daughters, Carm, to see Taylor Swift in Toronto. They went to that concert. Then they went to see Oilers Leafs on Saturday night. Then on Sunday, they drive to Buffalo to see Chiefs and Bills. Then tonight, they're ending their trip off, flew to Montreal to see Montreal versus Edmonton. That's quite the sports-packed couple days. Taylor Swift, Chiefs game, Leafs game, and Habs game, all in one handful of days. You got to love that. And, you know, putting in work with the Canadian Navy and the military. So you got to love that. All right. Gonna shout him out. I wanted to shout him out today, and I'm happy that you brought up that Taylor Swift concert, so I was able to remember. But guys, we hope you all have a very good Monday, a profitable Monday, and we hope you can enjoy the NHL games on tap tonight. Don't forget about that great promo code. We'll mention it all week long here on Puck Time. But that's it for the show. Best of luck. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Puck Time.